Picture a quiet Wednesday night, the kind where the world feels warm and safe, with the soft clink of forks against plates and the faint hum of a favorite playlist in the background. Nora and I were sharing leftover dumplings, laughing about some silly work story, when her face changed, like a storm cloud rolling over a clear sky. "I need a break to find myself," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Those words hit like a betrayal, shattering 5 years of our life together in an instant. What followed, her flings with other men, her desperate pleas to return, my unyielding refusal, and the chaos that swallowed her, left her stunned when she realized I wasn't her safety net. Could I forgive her betrayal, or would I stand firm and reclaim my life? That night sparked a journey of heartbreak and redemption, and the story of how I emerged stronger will keep you on the edge of your seat. I'm not the type to lose my cool. At 32, I've built a rock-solid life in Boston, Massachusetts, own my house, run a thriving IT consultancy, keep things straightforward. But when Nora dropped that bombshell, it threw me for a heartbeat, like a punch you didn't see coming. Then clarity kicked in. If she wanted space, fine, she could have it, but not in my home, not on my dime. I set my fork down, locked eyes with her, and said, "All right, take your break, but this is my house, so you'll need to pack up and find somewhere else to crash." Her jaw dropped, like I'd suggested she move to Mars. "Are you serious?" she asked, her voice trembling with disbelief. "Dead serious," I replied, calm but firm. Did she expect me to sit around, waiting while she found herself? If someone's unsure about you, why should you twiddle your thumbs, hoping they'll decide you're enough? I wasn't about to be her fallback plan. To her credit, she didn't argue much. Maybe she thought I'd beg her to stay, demand an explanation, but I don't beg. Not for anyone, not even Nora. By night's end, she'd stuffed a duffel bag with clothes and called her cousin to pick her up. She lingered at the door, her gaze searching mine, like she was waiting for me to crack. I just held it open, my face blank, letting the silence do the talking. If someone wants to leave, you don't cling tighter. You let them go. The door clicked shut, and the house fell silent. I sank onto the couch, staring at the half-eaten dumplings, but it wasn't some gut-wrenching movie scene. It was more like a frustrated sigh. I wasn't heartbroken, I was annoyed. I'd given Nora everything, a home, stability, a shot at happiness. And instead of talking to me, she'd taken the coward's way out. A break? What a weak move. The next morning, I gathered her stray belongings. A toothbrush, a stack of her worn-out mystery novels, the oversized hoodies she'd swiped from my closet. I tossed them into a cardboard box and shoved it into the guest room closet. If she wanted her things, she could ask. I wasn't her delivery service. Life without Nora didn't shift much at first. I still woke at 6, hit the gym, and buried myself in client projects. The house was quieter, sure, but it wasn't a bad quiet. It was peaceful, like a weight had lifted. I wasn't pining for her. I refused to let her absence derail me. What did bug me was how effortlessly she'd bailed. I started replaying the past few months, searching for clues I'd missed. Had she been unhappy? Were there signs she was pulling away? Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it wasn't crumbling. We bickered over trivial stuff, what to order for dinner, who left the coffee pot on, but nothing screamed crisis. Nora never hinted at feeling trapped, never gave me a heads up she was itching for a reset. She just decided, and that's what burned me most. Relationships are partnerships, not solo acts. You don't hit pause without a conversation, but she'd made her choice and expected me to wait in the wings. No way. Friends and family started checking in as word spread. My sister, Lily, called first, her voice thick with shock. She just up and left? Like that? I gave her the short version, and she backed me up. You did right not chasing her. If she can't see what she had, that's her loss. Then, my best friend, Owen, dropped by with a six-pack and his usual blunt wisdom. You dodged a bullet, man. If she's this flaky now, imagine her in a real crisis. That hit home. If Nora couldn't handle the normal ebb and flow of a relationship, what would she do when life got messy? Marriage, kids, real stakes, what then? Better to find out now than later. By the end of the week, I'd made peace with it. If Nora wanted her break, she could have it. I wasn't going to waste energy wondering what she was up to. People who need space are often just testing the waters elsewhere, thinking they can waltz back when they're done. Not with me. I knew my worth, and I wasn't settling for someone who didn't see it. Gossip travels fast in a tight-knit neighborhood like ours. I didn't broadcast the breakup, but Nora wasn't so discreet. At first, it was vague tidbits. A buddy, Caleb, texted me a week after she left. Saw Nora at the pub last night. Seemed off. Off how, I didn't ask. Didn't care to dig. Let her be off. She wasn't my problem anymore. But then another friend, Zoe, called with a juicier update. I hate to be the one to tell you, but I saw Nora at a club downtown with some guy. They looked close. Close. That word lingered, not because I was jealous, but because it confirmed my hunch. This break wasn't about self-discovery. It was about seeing what else was out there, and she wasn't wasting time. I thanked Zoe, said I appreciated the heads up, and hung up. I wasn't angry, not really. If anything, I felt insulted. 5 years together, and she's cozying up with some rando days after walking out? It wasn't about wanting her back. It was about respect, or her lack of it. The whispers kept coming. My neighbor, Margaret, caught me while I was washing my car. Saw Nora jogging with some guy by the Charles River yesterday, she said, her eyes gleaming with gossip. New face, not from around here. I just shrugged. Good for her. Margaret studied me, like she couldn't tell if I was genuinely unbothered or faking it, but I meant it. Nora could jog, flirt, or dance with whoever. She was free to do what she wanted. I had better things to focus on, like my soapy car and a looming project deadline. The irony? I wasn't even seeking these updates. They just kept landing in my lap, like the universe wanted to rub it in. One night, I opened Instagram to check a friend's post, and Nora's story popped up uninvited. There she was, giggling in a dimly lit bistro, across from a guy with a man bun and a leather jacket, sharing a plate of tapas. Her smile was wide, carefree, like our 5 years were a distant memory. It didn't hurt, but it disappointed me in a way I hadn't expected. I thought she'd at least take a beat to reflect, show some respect for what we'd built. Instead, she was out there acting like she'd never been tied down. I closed the app and didn't look again. She could play her role. I wasn't her audience. What did get under my skin was how she spun the story to others. A mutual friend, Emma, called one evening. So, Nora said you guys are on a break, but it was your idea? I laughed, sharp and bitter. Emma, let's be clear. Nora asked for the break. I just told her she couldn't stay here while she figured herself out. She wanted space. I gave it to her. Emma sighed. Yeah, that's not how she's telling it. She's acting like you pushed her out. Classic Nora, rewriting history to play the victim. I wasn't about to waste energy correcting her lies. The people who mattered knew the truth, and that was enough. The more I heard about her escapades, the surer I felt about letting her go. She wasn't the woman I thought she was. Or maybe I'd been blind to her flaws. Either way, every update about a new guy she was spotted with felt like validation. Owen and I started joking about it over beers. She's hitting the buffet, huh? He said, smirking. I laughed. Let her, not my table anymore. By the third week, the gossip tapered off. Maybe people got bored, or Nora's antics lost their shine. Either way, I was relieved. I didn't need updates on her life. I was too busy living mine. When someone shows you their true colors, believe them. Nora showed me she wasn't committed, that she'd rather chase thrills than build something real. I wasn't going to wait for her to come to her senses. I had my house, my career, my self-respect, more than enough to keep me grounded. 3 weeks after she left, Nora texted out of the blue, "Can we meet up?" No greeting, no context, just those 4 words. I chuckled at the audacity. After everything, now she wanted to talk? I wasn't eager to rehash her nonsense, but I don't like loose ends, so I replied, "When and where?" She suggested a park we used to love, a quiet spot by the Esplanade where we'd spend lazy Sundays. I agreed, mostly curious to see what excuse she'd pull. Deep down, I knew this wasn't about remorse. It was about her realizing the grass wasn't greener. I showed up 10 minutes early, not out of excitement, but to hold the upper hand. I grabbed a coffee, settled on a bench by the water, and waited, sipping slowly. When Nora arrived, she looked different, hair in a messy bun, no makeup, wearing a faded hoodie that screamed guilt. She seemed smaller, her usual confidence dimmed, like the past 3 weeks had taken a toll. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, sitting down, her voice tentative. I didn't reply, just raised an eyebrow, letting her stew. She deserved to feel the weight of her choices. She launched into a rambling monologue about feeling lost when she asked for the break, claiming she'd been sparing me by stepping away. "I didn't want to drag you into my mess," she said, avoiding my eyes. I snorted. "Drag me? Nora, I was solid. You're the one who needed fixing." She flinched but pressed on, saying she'd needed time to become her best self for us. It was laughable, like she'd been on some noble quest for my sake. "How'd that work out for you?" I asked, my tone flat. She hesitated, then mumbled, "It's been eye-opening. I realized I took you for granted, didn't appreciate what you brought to our life." I nodded, unimpressed, waiting for the real pitch. Here it came. "I made some mistakes during the break," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Mistakes, not choices, not betrayals, just oopsies, like she'd tripped into other guys' arms. "I heard about your mistakes," I said, keeping my voice steady. "People talk, Nora. The club, the bistro, the jogging buddy. I know." Her face flushed, and she stammered, "I didn't mean for it to happen. I thought I needed to see if I was missing something." I shook my head, my patience thinning. "You weren't missing anything. You had everything. A home, a partner, stability. And you threw it away to chase something shinier. That's on you." Her eyes welled up, but I wasn't moved. "I know now how much I care about you," she said, her voice shaking. "I want us to try again. I want to come home." There it was, the desperate play to crawl back, not because she loved me, but because her flings had fizzled. Maybe those guys weren't as patient as I'd been, or maybe they saw through her games. Either way, she wasn't here for me. She was here for the safety net. "No," I said, leaning back, my voice firm. Her jaw dropped. "No?" "That's right," I said. "You wanted a break. You got it. You don't get to waltz back because your plan flopped." She tried to plead, her voice rising, but I cut her off. "Take care of yourself, Nora," I said, standing up. I walked away, not looking back, leaving her stunned on the bench. That moment wasn't just about saying no. It was about reclaiming my worth. After the park, I felt lighter, like I'd shed a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. I went home and cleared out the guest room closet, dropping her box of stuff at her cousin's place without a word. No text, no note. She could deal with it. My house was mine again, and I made it feel that way. I swapped out the old curtains she'd picked, rearranged the living room, bought a new rug. Small changes, but they screamed freedom. Owen came over one night and noticed the vibe shift. "Man, this place feels alive again," he said, grinning. "You're killing it." I laughed. "Just getting back to me, you know? I wasn't turning my house into a bachelor pad. I was making it a space for myself. No compromises. Work became a haven, too. Without Nora's drama clouding my head, I dove into projects with a focus I hadn't felt in years. My code was cleaner, my deadlines tighter, and my clients took notice. "Whatever's got you this dialed in, keep it up," one said. Letting go of deadweight does wonders, I guess. Mentally, I was sharper too, no longer second-guessing myself or decoding Nora's moods. Sure, I thought about her sometimes, but it wasn't pain. It was indifference, growing stronger every day. When friends mentioned her, I'd just nod. Good for her, I'd say, and mean it. Her life wasn't my concern. 6 weeks after our park meeting, I got a text from a random number. "Hey, this is Tyler. Can we talk? It's about Nora." I almost ignored it. Who the hell was Tyler? I wasn't in the mood for drama, but curiosity got me. I texted back, "What's this about?" He replied, "Better in person. Can we meet?" Against my better judgment, I agreed to a coffee shop in Back Bay the next day. Worst case, I'd waste half an hour. Best case, I'd get some closure I didn't even know I needed. Tyler was easy to spot, mid-30s, buttoned up, nervous as hell, fidgeting with his latte. I sat down, skipping pleasantries. "You Tyler?" He nodded. "Thanks for meeting me. I wasn't sure if I should reach out, but you deserve the truth." "Truth?" I leaned back, arms crossed. "Go on." He took a shaky breath. "I was seeing Nora. Or, I thought I was. She told me you two were done, said the break was just a formality, that you were checked out." I smirked. "Checked out?" She asked for the break. I told her to leave. That's the story. Tyler looked uneasy, like he'd stepped into a minefield. "She made it sound like you didn't care, like she had no choice but to move on." Classic Nora, spinning lies to suit her narrative. "So why tell me now?" I asked. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I started noticing things. She'd talk about you, your house, your life together, like you were still an option. It didn't add up. Then, when things fell apart with us, she said she wanted to go back to you. There it was, the real reason for this meeting. Tyler wasn't here to clear his conscience. He was here because Nora had played him, and he didn't want to be the only one burned. "Let me get this straight," I said, my voice steady. "She told you we were over, painted me as the bad guy, then tried to use me as her backup when you didn't work out." He nodded, sheepish. "Pretty much." I chuckled, low and dry. "Sorry, man, but I already knew she was like this. That's why she's gone." Tyler looked shocked, like he'd expected me to be blindsided. But why would I be? Nora had shown her hand the moment she asked for that break. We sat in silence for a moment, Tyler fidgeting, me calm. Finally, he said, "I just didn't want you to think you were crazy." I smirked. "Crazy? I saw through her from the start. You, though." I let it hang, letting him feel the weight of his choices. He didn't argue, just nodded, knowing he'd been played. We shook hands and I left, laughing to myself on the drive home. Nora thought she could juggle us both, but she'd ended up with nothing. Poetic justice. That meeting with Tyler was the final nail in the coffin. I was done. Done with Nora, her games, her chaos. But she wasn't done trying. Days later, she texted, "Please, can we talk? I've been thinking, and I want us to fix this." I didn't reply. What was there to say? She sent more, apologies dripping with self-pity, pleas for closure. I ignored them all, hitting decline when her calls came through. It was almost comical, her desperation after burning every bridge. One night, she showed up at my house, knocking while I was sanding a bookshelf in the garage. I opened the door, and there she was, hair a mess, eyes red, looking like she'd unraveled. "What do you want, Nora?" I asked, leaning against the frame, my voice flat. "I miss you," she said, her voice trembling. I almost laughed. Miss me? The guy she thought she could shelve while she played the field? "Yeah, no thanks," I said. "You made your choice. I made mine." She tried to plead, tears streaming. "I messed up. I thought I needed something else, but I had everything with you. I was blind." I crossed my arms, unmoved. "You think you can show up, cry, and I'll forget what you did? That's not how this works." She sobbed harder, begging for a fresh start, but I cut her off. "I'm not interested. You wanted space, you got it. You wanted other options, you tried them. Now you deal with the fallout. That's not my problem." She tried one last angle. "What about what we built? Doesn't that mean anything?" "It did," I said, my voice steady. "But you threw it away. I'm not angry, Nora. I'm just done. Move on. I have." Her face crumpled, but she didn't argue. She nodded, wiping her tears, and walked away. I closed the door, feeling nothing but relief. She was gone for good, and I was free. After that, Nora stopped reaching out. Maybe she got the message, or maybe she was too humiliated to keep trying. Either way, I didn't care. My life was better without her. I started planning a solo road trip to Maine, something I'd always wanted but never made time for. The house felt like mine again, peaceful, no eggshells to walk on. Work was thriving, my head was clear, and I was back to being me. No compromises. The real shift was mental. I wasn't just moving on. I was rediscovering myself, the guy who didn't need someone else to feel complete. I started small, cooking new recipes, picking up woodworking again, even signing up for a local photography class. Each step felt like a reclaiming of my own space, my own identity. Owen noticed it too. "You're not just surviving, man, you're living," he said one night, raising a beer in a mock toast. I grinned. Feels good to be free. Nora's downfall came in whispers, courtesy of Margaret, my nosy neighbor. "Heard about Nora," she said one day, leaning over the fence. "Lost her job, botched a big project, got into it with her boss." I nodded, not gloating, just unsurprised. Then a friend mentioned Nora's living situation tanking. Her cousin kicked her out for freeloading, and she was renting a dingy room across town, far from the cozy life she'd had with me. She'd burned every bridge, and no one was rushing to save her. Inside, I felt a flicker of vindication. She'd walked away from stability, thinking she could do better, only to sink her own ship. I didn't wish her ill, but I wasn't her lifeguard. I'd moved on, standing taller, living better, and that was all that mattered. Reflecting on it now, I see the whole saga as a turning point. Nora's departure wasn't a loss. It was a liberation. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I thrived in its aftermath. The lessons I learned about self-worth, about not settling, about letting go of what doesn't serve you, have made me stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever. I don't regret our time together. It taught me what I want and what I won't tolerate, but I don't miss it either. That chapter's closed, locked, and the key's long gone. Nora might learn from her mistakes, or she might not. Either way, it's not my story anymore. I'm writing a new one, and it's a damn good read.
Thank you for listening. Please share your thoughts, like this video if you found it helpful, and